The debris field stretched endlessly before Marcus Kane's small salvage ship. Twisted metal and broken dreams floating in the cold vacuum of space. He had been working these outer rim graveyards for 3 years now, picking through the bones of forgotten battles and abandoned stations. Most days brought nothing but scrap metal and worthless components. But something about this particular wreckage felt different. Marcus guided his ship carefully between the larger chunks of debris, his experienced eyes scanning for anything valuable. The remains of what looked like a luxury transport vessel caught his attention. Its elegant curves now twisted and scarred by whatever catastrophe had brought it here. He docked his salvage craft to the largest intact section and began his methodical search. The silence inside. The wreckage was oppressive, broken only by the soft hiss of his breathing apparatus. Emergency lighting flickered sporadically, casting eerie shadows across the corridors. Marcus moved with practiced caution, his scanner sweeping for both valuable materials and potential dangers. It was in what had once been a passenger cabin that he found her. She lay, motionless among the scattered belongings, her alien features both beautiful and haunting. Her skin was a pale blue-green like sea glass, with intricate silver markings that seemed to shimmer even in the dim light. Her hair was a deep, midnight black, spread around her like a dark halo. She wore what had once been an elegant dress, now torn and stained with blood. Marcus approached slowly, his heart racing. Her chest rose and fell in shallow breaths, but her eyes remained closed. When he knelt beside her, he could see the extent of her injuries. Her legs lay at an unnatural angle, and there was something terribly final about their stillness. "Can you hear me?" Marcus whispered, his voice barely audible through his helmet's cum system. Her eyes fluttered open, revealing irises the color of molten gold. For a moment, she stared at him with confusion. Then something like fear crossed her delicate features. "Please," she whispered, in accented but clear English. "Do not leave me here to die alone." Marcus felt something twist in his chest at the resignation in her voice. "What's your name?" "Zara," she breathed. "Zara Veltar of the 7th House." "Well, Zara Veltar," Marcus said, carefully removing his helmet so she could see his face. "I'm Marcus Kane, and I'm getting you out of here." Her golden eyes widened with something that might have been hope. "Why would you help me? You do not even know what I am." Marcus looked down at her broken form, the proud tilt of her chin despite her helplessness, at the way she tried to hide her pain. "Maybe that's exactly why I should help you." He worked quickly but carefully, fashioning a makeshift stretcher from debris in his emergency medical supplies. When he lifted her, Zara gasped, but didn't cry out. Her body was light, but solid in his arms, and he could feel the tremor that ran through her as she fought to maintain her composure. "My ship isn't much," Marcus said, as he carried her toward his salvage vessel. "But it's got a medical bay, and it's safe." Zara's head rested against his shoulder, her breathing shallow but steady. "Safe." She repeated the word like it was foreign to her. I had forgotten what that felt like. Healing Wounds Marcus's hidden shelter was carved into the heart of an abandoned asteroid mining station, a place so remote and forgotten that even the star charts had given up on it. The medical bay was small but well-equipped, a necessity for someone who worked alone in dangerous places. For 3 days, Zara drifted in and out of consciousness while Marcus worked to stabilize her injuries. When she finally woke fully, Marcus was sitting beside her bed, reading from an old datapad. She studied his face in the soft light, taking in his weathered features. The scar that ran from his left temple to his jaw. The gentle way his hands moved as he turned the pages. "You stayed?" she said softly. Marcus looked up, setting the pad aside. "Where else would I go? Most would have left me once they realized the extent of my injuries." Zara's voice was steady, but Marcus caught the faint tremor beneath her words. "I am paralyzed from the waist down. I will never walk again." "The medical scanners confirmed that," Marcus said matter-of-factly. "But they also showed that you're alive, you're healing, and you're stronger than you think." Zara turned her head away. "Strength means nothing when you cannot stand." Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then he moved his chair closer to her bed. "You want to know how I got this scar?" Despite herself, Zara looked back at him. Mining accident, 5 years ago. Piece of shrapnel took out my left eye and most of the vision in my right. Doctors said I'd never be able to work in space again, that my depth perception was too damaged. Marcus touched the scar lightly. They were probably right, but I learned to adapt. Found new ways to see what mattered. It is different, Zara whispered. For my people, physical perfection is everything. We are warriors, dancers, artists of movement. Without the use of my legs, I am nothing. Marcus leaned forward. Who told you that? My family, a clan. They left me in that wreckage to die because I brought shame upon their name. Her voice cracked slightly. I was betrothed to a high lord, you see? When the transport was attacked and I was injured, he declared the contract void. Said he would not bind himself to damaged goods. Anger flared in Marcus's chest, but he kept his voice gentle. Then they're fools, all of them. Zara looked at him in surprise. You barely know me. I know enough. Marcus reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away if she wanted. When she didn't, he took her hand in his. Her fingers were long and elegant, her skin warm despite its unusual color. I know you're brave. I know you're proud. I know you tried to hide your pain even when you thought you were dying alone. Tears gathered in Zara's golden eyes. Those qualities will not make me whole again. Maybe being whole isn't about what your body can do, Marcus said quietly. Maybe it's about who you choose to be, despite what it can't do. For the first time since he'd found her, Zara smiled. It was small and fragile, but it transformed her entire face. Tell me about yourself, Marcus Kane, she said. What drives a human to live alone in the void? Rescuing broken alien women. Marcus chuckled. Well, when you put it like that, it does sound like a strange hobby. Trust in the darkness alarm that woke them was soft but insistent. Marcus rolled out of his bed in the quarters next to the medical bay, instantly alert. His scanners had picked up 3 ships approaching the asteroid station. Their energy signatures unknown, but definitely military grade. He rushed to Zara's side, finding her already awake. Her golden eyes wide with fear. They have found me, she whispered. Marcus checked his scanner readings. The ships were still an hour out, moving in a standard search pattern. Who are they? My family's enforcement fleet, Zara said, her voice tight with controlled panic. They have come to finish what they started. Why? Marcus demanded as he began gathering essential supplies. You said they left you to die? Why come back now? Zara's hands trembled as she pushed herself up in bed. Because I know something. Something that could destroy my family's standing in the Galactic Council. Marcus paused in his preparations. What kind of something? They were smuggling illegal weapons to rebel factions. The attack on our transport was not random. It was a business deal gone wrong. I was there. I saw everything. And now I am the only witness left alive. Except you're not supposed to be alive, Marcus realized. Exactly. They thought leaving me paralyzed in that wreckage would be enough. But now, ... Zara gestured helplessly at the medical bay around them. Now they know someone rescued me. Marcus felt a cold fury settle in his chest. They're not taking you. Marcus, you do not understand. These are not simple criminals. They are a powerful noble house with resources beyond imagining. You cannot fight them. Maybe not, Marcus said. Continuing his preparations, but I can sure as hell try. He worked quickly, transferring Zara to a specialized mobility chair he'd constructed over the past few days. It wasn't pretty, but it would allow her to move independently through the station's corridors. Where are we going? Zara asked as Marcus sealed the medical bay and began erasing all traces of their presence. Deeper into the station, there are maintenance tunnels and old mining shafts that don't show up on any scans. We can hide there until they leave. And if they do not leave, Marcus met her gaze steadily. Then we make sure they regret coming here. The journey through the station's abandoned corridors was tense and silent. Zara proved surprisingly adept with the mobility chair, her upper body strength allowing her to keep pace with Marcus's quick stride. They made their way to the deepest levels of the station, where the mining operations had once extracted rare minerals from the asteroid's core. The hiding spot Akus had chosen was a small chamber off the main mining tunnel, hidden behind what looked like a collapsed section of wall, but was actually a carefully concealed entrance. Inside, he had stored emergency supplies and equipment over the months he'd been using the station as his base. They waited in darkness as the enforcement ships docked with the station above. Through the comm system, they could hear the searchers moving through the upper levels, their voices cold and efficient. "Lady Zara Veltar," one of them called out, his voice echoing through the station's corridors. "We know you are here. Surrender yourself, and your rescuer will be spared." Zara's hand found Marcus's in the darkness. Her fingers intertwined with his, and he could feel her trembling. "They are lying," she whispered. "They will kill us both." Marcus squeezed her hand gently. "I know." Hours passed as the search continued above them. Finally, as the sounds of the searchers grew more distant, Marcus made a decision. "Stay here," he whispered to Zara. "Where are you going?" To end this, before Zara could protest, Marcus slipped out of their hiding place and made his way through the tunnels toward the station's power core. Hearts awakening when Marcus returned hours later, he found Zara exactly where he'd left her, but tears were streaming down her face in the dim emergency lighting. "I thought they had captured you," she whispered as he settled beside her in the small hiding space. "I thought I was alone again." "Never," Marcus said firmly, pulling her into his arms. "I told you I wasn't leaving you." Zara melted against his chest, her composure finally cracking after hours of fear and uncertainty. "What did you do?" "Convince them you weren't here," Marcus said, stroking her midnight hair. "Let's just say the station's power grid had some unfortunate malfunctions that made their scans unreliable. They will be back," Zara said against his shoulder. "Maybe, but not for a while." Marcus tilted her chin up so he could see her face. "And maybe by then, we'll have figured out what to do next." In the soft glow of the emergency lights, Zara's alien features seemed even more beautiful. Her golden eyes reflected the light like small suns, and the silver markings on her skin seemed to pulse with their own inner radiance. "Marcus," she said softly, "why are you doing this? Why risk everything for someone you barely know?" He was quiet for a long moment, his thumb tracing the line of her cheek. "Because from the moment I saw you lying in that wreckage, something in me recognized something in you. Like we were meant to find each other." "That is not very logical," Zara whispered. But her eyes never left his face. "No," Marcus agreed. "It's not." She reached up and touched the scar that ran down his face, her fingers gentle against his skin. "My people would say we are too different, that a union between our species is forbidden. What do you say?" Zara smiled, and this time it wasn't fragile or uncertain. It was full of warmth and possibility. "I say my people left me to die in the void. Their opinions no longer matter to me." Marcus leaned down and kissed her, soft and tentative at first, then with growing passion as she responded. Her lips were warm and tasted faintly of the sweet medical nutrients he'd been giving her. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. "I never thought I would feel this again," Zara confessed. "After my injury, I believed that part of my life was over forever. Physical intimacy isn't just about movement," Marcus said, his forehead resting against hers. "It's about connection, about trust, about two people choosing to be vulnerable with each other." Zara's eyes filled with tears again. But this time they were tears of joy. "Show me," she whispered. Marcus spent the next hours showing Zara exactly how beautiful and desirable she was, his hands and lips worshipping every inch of her that could feel sensation. He was patient and gentle, learning what brought her pleasure, adapting to the limitations her injury imposed while discovering new ways to bring her ecstasy in the aftermath. As they lay entwined in the narrow space, Zara traced patterns on Marcus's chest with her fingertip. "What happens now?" she asked quietly. Marcus was quiet for a moment, thinking, "We leave this place. Find somewhere they'll never think to look for us. And then we build a life together. If you want that." Zara lifted her head to look at him. Yes, she said without hesitation. I want that more than anything. 6 months later, Marcus and Zara had found their sanctuary on a small agricultural planet in the Outer Territories. The colonists there were used to refugees and outcasts, and they asked no questions about the human man and his alien wife who had bought a small farm on the outskirts of town. Zara had adapted to life in her mobility chair with determination and grace. She tended a garden of both earth plants and specimens from her homeworld, creating hybrid flowers that had never existed before. Marcus continued his salvage work, but now he stayed closer to home, never gone for more than a few days at a time. They were working in the garden together one afternoon when Marcus's proximity alarms chimed. 3 ships were approaching the planet, their energy signatures achingly familiar. They have found us again, Zara said quietly. Her hands stilling on the delicate seedling she'd been transplanting. Marcus looked at the scanner readings and felt a grim satisfaction. Good, Zara looked at him in surprise. Good, I've been waiting for this. Marcus helped her into her chair, and they moved toward the house. Remember that information you had about your family's weapons smuggling? Yes, but I have no proof. It would be my word against theirs. Marcus smiled as he activated a hidden panel in their home's wall, revealing a sophisticated communications array. Actually, you do have proof. All those conversations you overheard, all those meetings you witnessed. I've been working with some contacts in the Galactic authorities. They've been very interested in your testimony. Zara's eyes widened as she realized what he was saying. You have been building a case against them. We have been building a case, Marcus corrected. And now they've just made it perfect by pursuing you across the galaxy. Stalking a witness, attempting to silence testimony, violating neutral space. The charges are piling up nicely. The enforcement ships landed in the field beyond their farm, and armed figures began approaching their house. But this time, Marcus and Zara were ready. Lady Zara Veltar, the lead enforcer, called out as they surrounded the house. By order of House Veltar, you will return with us to face judgment for your crimes against the family. What crimes? Zara called back through the house's comm system. The crime of surviving? The crime of finding happiness? The crime of betraying your own blood. Marcus stepped out onto the porch, his hands empty but his stance confident. I think you'll find the only criminals here are you. The lead enforcer raised his weapon. Human, you will stand aside. This does not concern you. Funny thing about that, Marcus said, his voice carrying clearly across the field. It became my concern the moment your family left my wife to die in a wreckage field. Wife, the enforcer spat. She is betrothed to Lord Kethrin of the 9th House. Was betrothed, Zara corrected, as she rolled her chair out beside Marcus. A contract that was voided the moment he declared me damaged goods. I am free to choose my own path now. The enforcer's weapon shifted toward Zara. You have information that belongs to House Veltar. You will return it and face the consequences of your betrayal. The information about the illegal weapon sales, Marcus asked conversationally. The meetings with rebel factions. The bribes to customs officials? That information? The enforcers went very still. You know nothing, human. I know everything, Marcus replied. And so do the Galactic authorities. As if summoned by his words, the sky above them filled with ships, official Galactic enforcement vessels that had been waiting just beyond sensor range. The House Veltar ships found themselves surrounded and outgunned in seconds. This is Commander Torres of the Galactic Authority. A voice boomed from the official ships. House Veltar enforcement. You are under arrest for weapons trafficking, witness intimidation, and violation of neutral space. Surrender immediately. The lead enforcer's weapon wavered between Marcus and Zara. You have destroyed everything, he snarled. No, Zara said quietly, reaching for Marcus's hand. You destroyed everything the moment you chose greed over honor. I simply chose love over fear. The enforcer's weapon clattered to the ground as Galactic Authority troops swarmed the field. Within minutes, the threat that had haunted them for months was neutralized. The members of House Veltar's enforcement fleet in custody, Commander Torres approached the porch. removing her helmet to reveal a weathered face marked by years of dealing with galactic politics. "Lady Veltar," she said formally, "the Galactic Council thanks you for your cooperation in this matter. Your testimony will ensure that House Veltar faces justice for their crimes. And after the trial?" Zara asked. "After the trial, you're free to live wherever and however you choose," Torres replied with a small smile, "though I suspect you've already made that choice, Marcus." Squeezed Zara's hand as they watched the enforcement ships being impounded and their would-be captors led away in restraints. "So," he said quietly, "what do you want to do now?" Zara looked up at him, her golden eyes bright with love and possibility. Now I want to tend our garden, watch our hybrid flowers bloom, and grow old with the man who showed me that being broken doesn't mean being worthless." Marcus leaned down and kissed her, tasting sunshine and hope and the promise of all their tomorrows. Around them, their garden bloomed with impossible flowers, hybrids of two worlds that shouldn't exist but did anyway, beautiful and unique and perfect in their own way, just like their love.